This is the bit, isn't it? That confuses me. It's like, did we choose to come here to get this sorted out, or is this just seems a little unfair, doesn't it? That you know, we seem to be here and there's this parasite messing up our experience.
And, you know, I know in my own life, the times that I've made major changes, it was like it became more painful not to change than to change. That was when I made big changes.
You know, it's this whole ridiculous narrative of, it's, you know, it's an unsafe world. There's not enough for you. It's scary. Everyone's out to get you. And clearly the old civilization was completely the opposite to that. It was all about empowerment, like literally.
Cosmic resonance, I think they called that one. Or
cosmic resonance, that's a better name.
Real science, you can actually produce free electricity, and this is part of what Tesla was doing, is the differential between the top of the spire to the ground actually creates an electrical differential that you then connect to another wire that goes into the ground, your grounding. Put that into the third phase in your circuit, and then you have a bell ringing circuit, and that actually produces plasma electricity out of the air. It's real technology. These things actually function producing electricity. It's crazy.
The movies are the truth and the news is the lies. They've completely flipped it.
You know, when you look at everything with new eyes and you come across information like she was born into a very wealthy family with elite connections, you know, it means something very different now to me than it would have even a few years ago. And it's our free will that they've really also messed with, because we've been lied to and we react based on lies. Just getting their independence and end up in civil wars for 20, 30 years happens a lot.
Because we keep choosing to pick up the gun and use it on ourselves instead of building and uniting and accepting that we are one people, one spirit, one harmony on one plane that together, united, can achieve anything we dream of.
So do you want to, you know, wake up, or do you want to just keep going along because the change is too difficult?
And then give them pieces of information that they will then pursue themselves and look into, and then they'll wake themselves up.
I was going to mention, it's the whole red pill, blue pill of the Matrix. I mean, that of the movie. And you can consider that movie as a documentary because they're telling us something about what's happening here. So do you want to, you know, wake up, or do you want to just keep going along because the change is too difficult? Wake up.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Hello, YouTube. Sorry to tease you. Me and Mike will have our own intro soon, but that intro that Campbell made with me, him, and Michelle is just too good not to play. I am joined here tonight with Mike from Faraday Research, and hopefully Campbell will join in at some point with us. I have sent him the link.
Yeah, you should be awake. It's 11 in the morning.
Right?
And it's 11 at night here.
Exactly.
Well, where I am anyways. You're what, 3 hours behind me?
9 p.m. here.
Oh, okay, 9. Right on. So, yeah, it's been an interesting week, to say the least. Got that really nice gift there from Aaron, and that kind of threw me for a loop.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron. I did get my little gift box, too. I will be putting up the tapestry as soon as I think I was showing my mom, and it disappeared upstairs.
Yeah, we're in a deep freeze here again. It's going down to like -20s tonight. So yeah, we've been on a roller coaster ride weather-wise. We just had the worst snowstorm in about 10 years here last week. So yeah, now everything's a block of ice out there, and I'm out of work still, and so I've been doing my research Go figure. So I don't know, Bernie, do you want to talk about your crypto, what's happening? Because that's kind of big news.
Yeah, crypto just broke major support level and crashed down. It is a horrible, horrible slaughter out there.
The apocalypse.
The 39,000 US BTC is crucial level that it needs to bounce back up above that immediately, or we are officially in a bear market and have been so for 9 months. Not the extended bull like so many predicted, but Richard Hart, the one, the only, the pulse, knew the truth.
Yeah. So, question for you: what determines this crash? Like, why it rallied to go into a bull market? Like, what are the factors that are involved in this?
It's the 250-day. There's the 50-day and the 200-day moving averages, and they determine certain levels, and that as long as it stayed above like the 3940 thou, then it was above those averages in the death cross, and then it means that it could be in the extended altcoin bull market, as opposed to it having topped out at the double top at 68,000 and never making that 100,000 like so many claimed it would. Or if it was in the extended bull market, then it was that it was going to make this 100,000 in the second half of it, which would have been a crazy altcoin season continuing for the next several months, where if it doesn't go back above these critical levels, it will officially be a bear market, and then anything goes, and it's most likely another 9 months of it going down all the way down to critical levels of 24 to 12,000 for the BTC. And that's nobody wants that.
Right. So that being said, do you think, in your personal opinion, that the banking corporations of the world are part of this? Are they manipulating?
They've already started buying into and opening their the futures contracts on BTC and buying it themselves and holding it. And the thing is, though, is that from what I was watching, it seemed like they had been buying in at these higher levels where they wouldn't let it go to that crash. But if it's that the stock market also crashed and the entire economy crashed, so that they can't afford themselves to support these levels because it's going into this bear market, and the wealth they thought they had, and that's the difference. That if it's not a bear market, they do have their wealth, then they are able to keep these support levels going, and they'll buy back in and bring it back up. But if it's not and everything's crashed and all this wealth has just been annihilated out of existence due to the crash, then they won't be able to, and it just creates the spiral effect downward.
Right. I have another question for you. I think this is a good one. Do you think, because we are going through this quote unquote global reset, that they're trying to realign their assets into crypto to indoctrinate the crypto as the new global currency?
100%. It is definitely the new great reset, and that is their plan. And that is why it's all about owning more coins in your wallet, in your bag, right? It's because it's going to fluctuate up and down. It's going to have to crash a couple times during this overall reset. But it's that they're playing the great game, in that they're accumulating as much of these coins as they can too, and that eventually they're going to be inflating to the max whatever coins they own, and that you want to own a portion of those same ones, but you also want to create your own outside system that we're able to, use it truly is supposed to be.
Now, do you think that, in a way, that they're trying to sabotage maybe that market?
Oh, well, it's a global economic war going on, absolutely. But it's that crypto is like the one thing that's stabilizing them from going into all-out physical war right now. I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, because I don't know if everybody's been following the news right now, that the Ukraine and Russia are on the verge of start chucking missiles at each other. Uh,
Has been for the last.
so now you got NATO getting involved. There's going to be sanctions. So, and the other thing too, what I also noticed, just before a war happens, gas spikes, and
Always, always.
and look at the gas price here in Canada.
It's
It might actually hit $1.50 by the end of next week, and
it's
that's like totally unheard of. Totally unheard of.
But what's really scary is the level of like actual global exchange of physical goods, and that we are currently at a level that has not been this low since before World War II broke out. And that is something that really needs to be paid attention to, and we really need to resolve and not go into this isolationist system, but open back up to a free global society of humanity.
Because you know, a lot of the conspiracy guys out there have always been talking about, okay, where's World War III going to start? They were saying, oh, it's going to be China, or it's going to be Russia and U.S. Actually, I don't even think it's going to involve the U.S. in the beginning. It's going to involve two other countries that are going to start duking it out. And you got Russia and Ukraine, right? So if they spark war, you got heavily backing by the UN for Ukraine. U.S. is sending arms to Ukraine. Canada is sending arms to the Ukraine. So we're back
for Ukraine a while ago, and like it almost went to hot war when that happened, and Russia didn't bite for the trap. They just gave it up. So I don't see them falling for it again anytime soon. Like they gave it up. They've slowly been reclaiming parts of it.
See,
they've done everything they can to prevent a hot war.
Right now, because right now, what I've seen in past history, before say like stock market crashes and all this, you'll have certain countries starting to go for land grabbing. Okay, who's the two biggest culprits right now? Russia and China. You know, China, how much land grabbing they're going after. They're in South Africa now. They're all over the Asian Sea. They're trying to push their way into the Philippines, on and on and on. So, excuse me. So the similar stuff was going on back in World War II. You know, the stock market was a mess. You know, that's basically what got us out of, you know, the Great Depression was World War II, right? So we're kind of at the Great Depression levels. People are losing their jobs left, right, and center. You know, I'm one of them. You know, so a lot of people are living on government assistance now. And, you know, it's getting to the same scenario: high inflation, high unemployment, high fuel and energy prices. It's a recipe for war.
People aren't watching us to see. They want an escape from all that doom and gloom, Mr. Mike. So let's get into why we are actually here. And before we went on, we were talking about and you were explaining a lot of why his electrical engineering devices are so efficient and able to be utilized.
Well, radically better.
Radically better. I like that.
Radically better than Don Smith. You know, I've been studying Don Smith for the last year and a bit now, and getting more and more confirmation by many people online that basically Don Smith and his secrets of his energy device went with him to the grave. And it's starting to show now because of the certain hurdles that I have to make with his device. The problem with his device, we're trying to put a proper metaphorical analogy of it. It's like, okay, here's the power. It's all up in the air, and now you got to sort it out. Okay? With Gerald Morton's device, you got battery, DC motor turns generator. Generator makes AC current at 60 hertz at 137 volts. Now you can do whatever the hell you want with it. Pretty simple.
Yeah, so Don Smith's energy, you still have to harmonize it and then get it into the capacitance of the specific frequency that the circuit's running off of, and that's requiring like 6 or 7 different types of like step up, step downs, and all of that, where Jared Morin, you're already working with the same AC frequency that everything is the loads are operating off of, so it's already in harmony. The electrical frequency is in harmony with what
Yeah,
you're.
exactly. It's see, the problem is with the Don Smith device, you got to spend thousands of dollars on capacitors and step down transformers and isolation transformers. His system, if you do it correctly, and I do believe you could do it correctly, but it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
If you got a large budget, okay, you can probably do it. But with the Gerald Morin device, which I love,
And
is
that's what I'm playing right now.
and yeah, any Joe Blow on the street can buy the components right now. Some of the stuff you can get on Amazon, some stuff you can get at your local hardware store. You can slap the sucker together and it will work. You don't have to worry about conversion problems. You don't have to worry about frequency problems. And everything is right there exactly how it should work. And, we can explain the device has, in steps how it works and how much easier and how much more, honestly, I think it's superior because you can still get just as much gains out of this system than you can the Don Smith device for a fraction of the cost, right? Like right now, as I got my Don Smith setup. What's that?
And in these days and times, it is becoming crucial that we get this figured out and get our power bills reduced.
It's there. The technology's there. It's just, what? There's so much stuff on the internet and everybody's making a claim here, claim there, and claim there. I'm trying to stay in the middle of things where I'm trying to take the non-bias. And, I thought Don Smith's system was going to work out, but I'm starting to realize in order to get Don Smith's stuff to work properly, you need thousands of dollars in equipment to make it happen. Okay, my listeners on my YouTube channel don't have that. They don't have that kind of a budget to work with.
Exactly.
Okay, if you got a budget of $1 million to work with, yeah, you can make it happen. You can get a hold of those components. But we have to think reality, okay? Reality with the average Joe Blow guy like myself that can put a system together and make it run, okay? I know what systems work and what doesn't work, okay? Pulse motor generator Joule Thief setup, 100% valid, and it works, and I've proved it. Pulse motor generator, it does work, but there's some parts of that system that still need research and development.
Yeah.
And Gerald Morin's device is the real deal. Okay, this guy is real. He comes off a little bit crazy in the end because he's very frustrated with not just the YouTube community, is the fact that he's trying to get parts and he can't get parts, and he's trying to get
but also DHS and how they fuck around his components.
What's that?
Oh yeah, sorry, that was a little inside joke for Jared Morin, how much he hates DHS for them messing around with
DHL.
DHL.
Yeah, DHL. Yeah, I seen that today actually. The worst friggin' shipping company on the planet. But he comes off kind of arrogant a little bit, but sometimes the arrogant guys, they have something to show you. So I've been watching this guy and then another guy, I won't even mention his name because he's such a jerk. But basically what these guys were, or what this guy was showing me with the Don Smith device, I've almost came to exactly the same conclusion in the end that he did. Right? So, who knows? Like I said, this new project I'm doing to get a system running, a free energy device that you can go to the hardware store and pick up the components, slap it together and have a system that actually works. Okay. I'm not talking about, this mysterious 0-point energy machine that's going to come out of the sky and then land in your doorstep and you'll be able to have free energy forever. No, I'm talking about something that's tangible. It's real. It doesn't violate the any kind of laws of thermodynamics. It is a real generator that is very methodically designed to do effects that will get you over unity and create excess power than what you're actually putting in. So yeah, it's just, you know what, you got to go on YouTube and you have to investigate this stuff. I've been investigating this stuff for over 15 years. And after 15 years, I'm starting to realize what's real and what's BS. Right? And it took me 15 years. So hopefully by my channel and how I'm doing stuff on there, I don't claim to know everything, but after 15 years, I think I got a little bit of experience under my belt now to actually make an opinion that people could actually take for a valid, take a valid opinion, right? So pulse motor generators, jewel thieves, real deal. Don Smith device is the real deal, but it takes a huge budget, a lot of very expensive components to get the effects you need. The Gerald Morin device, real deal. Okay, so listen to those guys, and like Gerald Morin, he comes off kind of crazy in the end, but it's because of utter frustration with shipping and getting the components made properly. He can't deal with anybody in North America because they just want like $1 million up front to re-engineer something. So it's frustrating on the logistics side of getting stuff. But his theory, the way he generates power, is real. And it can be applied to your house or a cottage or whatever you want to use. So it's just a matter of, get a system that works. And if it works good, then try to scale it up. Go a little bigger. And then make sure it runs good. And then if it's good enough and you want something even bigger, then scale it up again. But obviously, when you scale up, the price of components goes up. So stay within your budget, right? But for proof of concept is washing machine pump generator. That's a very good place to start. Start watching his videos right from the beginning and watch him and listen to what he's saying. And he actually had a mathematician come on his YouTube channel and make an assessment of his device. And that's pretty interesting. And the guy is a mathematician. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there that you can check out on his site. And he's kind of gone silent. I don't think he's done a video in 3-4 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, there's his email link at the top of the YouTube channel, and I've been meaning to email him again. I did at one point. I never got a reply, but he does apparently do so.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so so now it's like I have to decide, okay, what direction do I want to go in? Do I want to continue with the Don Smith stuff? I do, but I don't have the budget for it. So I'm realizing a lot of the components I need are very, very pricey. So, that's one of I understand the system, and the thing is, I just don't have the budget right now to actually build it. Because, like I said, it's like energy thrown in the air, sort it out, and make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I can, get a simple DC motor, hook that up to the washing machine pump motor, and then that makes me 137 volts AC at 60 hertz. Perfect. Now I can do whatever the hell I want with it. So now I could go to my local electronics store, buy a step-up transformer, or even take a transformer out of a microwave, and now I could have 400 or 500 volts. Now I can power some major stuff. I could actually power a damn house with the thing, right? So, and do that with basically batteries, in actually a way more efficient method of doing it than actually using, say, like an inverter, right? An inverter, okay, you hook up a couple 12-volt batteries to, say, a 3,000 watt inverter system. Okay, it's going to run the house. But the problem is it draws so much amperage off the battery, you need to have some kind of a battery recovery system there in order to keep that thing running.
Sorry, there, Mike. Bane Bear will be joining us too. I just emailed him the link. I think he's got a couple electrical engineering questions for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he's got some good stuff there. Now he was investigating a lot on the outrunner motors that you use in the drones. So those three-phase motors apparently are the strongest, most efficient electrical motors on the market. So his later models, he was using the washing machine motor from front loader of a Samsung, you know, the drum motors.
Yeah.
So he was using that as the prime mover for the generator. So, and a couple other videos will show he made an electrical generator that has no iron in it. It's all made of plastic. So he proves, and even Tesla did it years ago, that you don't have to make electrical generator with iron. You can make it with aluminum, and it would still work. It will still produce electricity. So Tesla was so far beyond us, over and over and over again. So yeah, it's just you know, a lot of these things that Tesla was doing back then. Every now and then, you'll get a guy like, say, like Gerald Morin. He's proving some of the stuff that Tesla did back then. Like, you don't have to make electrical generator with iron in order to get the generation. He made it all with plastic and copper wire, and it works. It produces a lot of power. So yeah, it's hard for the average person just to go on YouTube and try to find
it is
the valid stuff.
Yes, and then there's so much good stuff, but then there's so complexity, and then it's like every person that's actually figured it out has their own language that they've come up with trying to use it, and they're frustrated, and it's just a giant shit show. But it's there, and it's coming, and we're figuring it out piece by piece.
Yeah, and then you'll get a whole bunch of guys out there that did have valid stuff, but you know, like Floyd Sweet was one of them, and Don Smith, and a few others that they had a good system, but they would never share the secrets. They wouldn't be open source. They kept everything proprietary.
Well,
so what's the thing of
is open source or die? So
one guy that I wish was open source and shared his secrets was Floyd Sweet. If he shared some of his secrets before he died, oh my God, the stuff we could have had right now. You know, the innovation that could have been done after he died. Because I think he died in like 92. A while ago. 92 or 94, somewhere around that range. He was already an old man when they were, Tom Bearden was doing some testing with him. And he was getting some crazy numbers over Unity with his machine, but he would not reveal exactly how his machine worked. And John Bandini was working with him back in, I think it was around 84, 86 in that range. And he got so close to understanding how the VTA worked that Floyd Sweet had to kick him out. He kicked him out. He says, that's it, you're done. And he basically stopped the project, and a few years later he died. So a lot of the secrets that he had went to his grave, which is totally unfortunate. So a lot of people are out there now trying to recreate the VTA and trying to pick up the pieces and trying to find out, you know, those little secrets that he had about the VTA. See, Floyd Sweet, he was also a professional transformer engineer. So he knew transformers and how they worked, right? That's why he was able to create such a device. He had all the engineering background and know-how how to make it. So, yeah. Eric Dollard, just reading some of the comments here. Yeah, Eric Dollard, that's like anybody who gets into this stuff is like the first thing I would say to them is start listening to Eric Dollard and start watching his videos, because he'll give you a good kind of foundation start of electricity. So I watch a ton of his videos. Any video that comes out of his, I'll watch it, because I know there's always something new that I missed or didn't really understand. Yeah, you have to watch all his videos. You know,
We
obviously.
got Mark joining us. Mark from Falcon's Face. How are you, good sir? Mark? Mark, I'm muting you until you're ready to talk, good sir.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
I just got some sound going on here.
all good, my friend.
Sound in the background. I can barely hear you guys for some reason. Let me see. No, I can barely hear you guys.
Weird. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, you're fine.
I find my microphone. No. 1 second.
Microphone volume, maybe.
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I don't know. The audio settings aren't working good on my phone. I can barely hear you guys.
Weird. Very weird. You're loud and clear. We were just and gone. Maybe he'll be back. Mark's pretty awesome. He's another crucial scientist of doing it and reproducing it and going through the bullshit and finding what's real and what's not for over unity and anti-gravity.
Yeah, it's really hard to sift through all the real and non-real stuff out there. And I've been at it for 15 years, so yeah, I know better than anybody about that. It's just a matter of finding the right channel and
doing the scientific method of trying it out yourselves, right? Like,
yeah, it's you got to discover it for yourself. You have to experiment. That's all part of my channel's experimenting stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Right, seeing what's valid and watching the videos and listen to how these guys talk. If they're holding back, and obviously Don Smith was one of them. He held back. He was hiding stuff. And he came across like that in his videos. And you'll see it. Like he did interview, I think it was in 1996, Colorado Springs Tesla Convention, Symposium or whatever it was. And yeah, he sounded very deceptive. He wouldn't show people what was in his black box. And he says, oh, it's getting validated. It's going to make money on it, yada, yada. And he had that old school mentality of, I want to make $1 million out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of this stuff he took to the grave. I think there was a lot of stuff that he wasn't sharing. And the other thing too is like his schematics and stuff were really, really bad. I don't know who was reproducing his schematics, but I've seen a few electrical engineers kind of do reviews on his schematics, and they just ripped them apart because they're saying what he's doing doesn't make sense. But then again, that could be part of the secrets. So
absolutely, right? And they all kind of, a lot of them from the old era, they would intentionally, just like the alchemists of ancient times, they would write it in code and secret, not give everything out. Now it's like, to the skeptic, it's like, well, see, it doesn't work. And then to like the inquisitive mind, it's like, yes, it does, but it's just a shit ton of work trying to figure it out and going through, reproducing it all, and having to do the work yourself, which is a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wonder if he's coming back.
I think we can let him talk while we go for a little smoke break. But when I come back, we will go over. I found some of my pure crystal agate there that hopefully I will find some gold in.
Right
and we will be able to do that experiment as well that we had talked about.
Okay, so let's do our smoke and we'll come back. Put the video on there.
Absolutely.
People for hours.
I'm just going to shut the camera off.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, see you in 5 minutes.
Sounds good. And as this loads,
Me an English phrase for it. Because you have to understand, when you're using higher volt changes everything into your, and when it doesn't work that way, well, it works for me. So I'm just going to stick with what is working for me, and I'm going to forget about what people say it doesn't work that way, because it's working very well for me. Matter of fact, we are very close to about maybe 2 weeks from now to be having a product who will literally move just about every single thing you want to move in this planet on a very small, I mean, we're talking about a fraction of the cost, to run the unit. And they're so efficient, you can loop it up, so you can make it run by itself, right? So I'm going to give you a little bit of, what I'm doing and what everything look here. So I'm just going to flip that around so I can give you a look what exactly underneath. See, that's the generator I'm going to be putting into, and here's the frame, right? That's a 10 kV. I was going to put the 10 kV in that frame, but it's too long. The frame is not long enough, so I'm just going to stick with the 4000 and make a nice little portable generator. Runs on this stuff with one tiny little batteries, hopefully, and we'll have that put together. Now, what I want to show you here, and for all the no-sayer and Mr. Bob Bateman, he knows everything. I love this guy. He actually, make me look good compared to what the bullshit he's talking about. All right. Now, as you see here, I didn't believe the amp meter in this here. I'm sorry you can't read, it's Chinese. So I took a Chinese machine because I didn't want to waste the time, so they can't print me an English phrase for it. So that's the amp, that's the volt, right? Now, and I didn't believe it, so I put another amp meter into the line who goes into my culture in the ring here, right? So I hook it up to a small motor. It's a probably, let me see here so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, so you can pretty much read there. That's for the prop, it's a 13 to 15 inch prop, 18.5 volt to 29.5 volt, right? So now I'm going to, turn that down. Okay, we're going to put some volt into it. Okay, so that guy is 29 point some volt, so we'll put 29 volt. There we go. That's 29 volts, right? So now I'm going to turn this little motor here, which is not that small of a motor, and that thing can scream, believe me. I can reach probably 50,000 RPM in that thing. And look, it's turning idle on my head, right? Look, 1.5 amp, right? And that's because this controller is very efficient. If I have a regular controller, for that motor to spin that fast, it would take at least 5 to 6 amp, maybe even more, just to spin. But this controller here is super efficient. So now I'm dropping down, but you're going to see, and that's a controller for Y. That's called the Y winding. The winding style is called Y, or star if you want to call it like this. And it will run different type of winding, this controller, because it's a smart controller. Now we're going to turn that down because I can make that thing scream. And as you,
Aye.
And the amp keep claiming, right? Right now I'm probably turning roughly around about, I would say about 25 to 30,000. Really hard to hold right now. But they're very smooth, no jerking and nothing. You can tell when the frequency change, the sound of the motor change, because it's all about the speed of the frequency. Now we're going to disconnect that. Yeah, I'm going to disconnect from here. All right. So we know those motors that make to draw amperage, and it's like very little amp we can put in here. You will see the difference between that motor and the other one, and this hyperdrive. Okay, so again, it's different. That is a different winding. That's for that. The winding is actually a generator winding. It's a three-phase generator winding. Okay, so let's see what happened. Oh, look at that! It's turning. Right. But those motor require, those hyperdrive, they require a lot of volts instead of using a lot of amp. Now, I'm going to crank the volt here. Now you kick in the second gear here. Now, that's 100 volt put in, and that's what I'm drawing, right? And the RPM right now is, if you can see that, 2000 RPM. Okay, 0 again. Well, let's see what this puppy can do. We'll bring it up to 200 volt. Volt output, right? Now we're spinning that baby at 4263. There you go. We'll zero that again. Now let's see if we can go another harder. And look at the draw. To spin a 6 inches, I'm spinning a tiny little thing, and I'm using 2 amp, right? And that's good 2 amp with that controller. If I put that to a regular RC controller, the sucker will draw about 10 amp just to spin by itself. So let's see how fast can I make that thing. 300. Thing's ready to top.
Wow.
Okay, 303 volts. 6200. Half an amp. Just spin a 6 inch drum. Okay. Let's try out 400. Woo, getting scary. I'm so scared. This is gonna blow.
Does sound scary.
That's 800, 8200. Now, I could push it, but this is a 400 volt controller, and I got an extra 100 volt in my box. That's a 500 volt power supply, right, at 4 amp output. But I don't want to grab that. That's 8,000 RPM. That's good. This has got so much torque right now. This flywheel has so much torque on kinetic energy. You can literally remove a 15 to 20 horse outboard motor and use that new drive to replace that outboard motor and go full blast with your boat. I mean, we're talking a 6 inch drum by an inch thick.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Getting a little loud. Bane, how are you?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. No complaints. No complaints here.
I don't have my headphones on, so I'm doing it just raw out of the phone. That's pretty fascinating with the electrical thing.
Always when we have Mike on board, right?
Yeah. Have you guys done a lot of experiments with like magnetic motors at all? I don't know a lot about it. I'm still learning a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I do all the pulse motors and everything like that. I've been working with that stuff for quite a while. About 10 years.
Well, can I pose something for a moment?
Sure.
I'm a member of the the bear community, like Owen Benjamin. That's why I have the name, the moniker Bane Bear. We have our own app called the Beartaria Times app. And it's like $15.50 a year. It's like $1.27 a month. It's like the best $1.27 you ever spend. But it's got all kinds of things from homesteading to farming. But there is one section that we have there called engineering and inventing. And there's some chaps on there that are like y'all. I mean, I'll be honest, in the world of electricity, I am a pebble. Y'all are like the Rock of Gibraltar, you know? So it's like, I am not super huge. I'm a great builder. I'm great at manufacturing things. I can do just about everything. Electrical, not my strong suit. I'm the first to admit that. But on the Beartaria Times app, for those that have it, we have a section, like I said, called engineering and inventing. And there are some guys on there that I'm going to get in contact with later. I'll be like, hey, you guys got to check out Autodidactic, because maybe, I mean, I probably have not promoted it enough, but every time we talk about this, I keep getting reminded by it, and I'm fascinated by it. And I'm like, oh, I've got to tell the other bears, the ones that are electrical engineers that know more about it than me. Because there is something. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I was going to say is like, I'm not an electrical engineer by trade. I'm actually an aircraft machinist.
Nice.
CNC machinist. So I do have a mechanical engineering background, and electrical engineering was not my forte. And the stuff totally intrigued me about going back 2005. And I started the HHO stuff, and it just kind of manifested from there. And now I've learned a great deal about electricity. I'm pretty proficient in it now.
Gotcha. I mean, it's super fascinating. I'm not in any way, like, I'm not on the same, not to be play on words, but I'm not on the same frequency that you guys are. But my son and I have been doing like a lot of different experiments where I'm wondering if there is a combination that we're missing, like a simple combination, kind of like you know, when you rake up your leaves in the fall, it's more fun to let the kids play in them for 20 minutes and then make a bonfire than it is to try to put them all at the street and wait for the city for 5 days to come pick them up and hope the wind doesn't blow them all over the street, right?
Right.
What if there is something that we're missing that ties in resonance, vibration, frequency, and a magnetic motor system? And if you put the two together, it'd be easy levitation with no, like, low voltage, low output. But yet no one's ever combined, like, no one's ever brought up the concept of combining a magnetic motor with something that has sound, resonance, vibration, frequency, like kind of like a dung beetle. A dung beetle has external wings and internal wings, and the internal wings beat at a resonance vibration that allows it to fly. But aerodynamically speaking, if you look at it, it shouldn't be able to fly, like a bumblebee. Bumblebees have a resonance vibration in their abdomen that causes them to levitate, and then their tiny wings are what propel their body, which is why they can't fly in rain, because it's just enough to propel them forward, and one drop of water takes them out. There's something, okay, if you've ever been, I live near Lake Hartwell, Lake Jocassee here in South Carolina. A lot of boating, a lot of the good old boys. If you're not a hunting guy, you're a boat guy. If you're not a boat guy, you're a hunting guy. You're either one of the other here in South Carolina. We have a lot of boats and stuff here. And I can tell you from personal experience, I've seen this, and other people have seen this, where you'll be on a boat going straight like 30 miles an hour. All right. And a dragonfly will come up in front of me, flying backwards to me.
Yes.
Backwards to me, and go bzzz in front of my face, and then in front of the face of the person next to me, and then in front of the face of the person next to me, and then fly off. But the wind coming towards us has no effect on it, because it has a resonance vibration frequency that allows it basically to exist and fly in a different dimension. I still have not put all the pieces of the puzzle together, but there is something to be said about resonance vibration frequency at a certain megahertz, at a certain frequency. And I think if we could tie that in with a type of an electrical motor, we could come up with the next revolutionary type of vehicle that allows us to have levitation with low voltage output. This is just, because, I mean, I'm brainstorming here. Obviously, I'm way, way out of my depth. I'm way out of my wheelhouse here. So if I'm being crazy, just tell me.
No, not at all. Because Nikola Tesla, back in the day, one of his famous sayings was, to find the keys of the universe, you have to understand frequency.
3, 6, and 9.
Yeah, the 3, 6, 9, right? So Tesla was talking about this stuff 120 years ago, okay? But everybody thought he was a crackpot, right? Because he was such an eccentric inventor. But he was way ahead of his time, 100 years ahead of his time. And, you know, if he was here today and he'd be looking around and see all the devices that we have, you just go, yep, I knew it. And, you know, because he honestly was right on the right track, but he just took the electricity thing and just went way too far with it. And that's when people started, you know, taking him as less credible because he was such a radical inventor, right?
Well, they freaked out on things they didn't understand. It's a lot like the same line of them burning witches back in the day. What if that witch was just a midwife that had a good potion for poison ivy? I mean,
yeah. See, the thing is with the energy is all the rich guys wanted to basically take control of it. All right. Mm-hmm. They wanted to, back in those days, there was a huge amount of patent wars going on. Everything,
I know.
Right from Marconi and Tesla and Edison and the gas companies, and then JP Morgan and all the banker guys getting their dirty hands into it. It just it just created a giant shit show.
Well, the long and short of it is that Edison was to Tesla what Dow was to hemp. We all know, listen, doesn't matter if you smoke weed or not, we all know that hemp can reproduce faster, you can grow it faster, and you can use it for more industrial purposes. You can make rope, you can make clothes, you can make food, you can make all kinds of different things from it. But Dow is a multi-billion-dollar cotton company. They were the ones that went to the lobbyists in the 30s and made weed illegal, to where they said, you know, you have to have weed in order to get a marijuana license, but it's illegal for you to have marijuana unless you have a marijuana license. Well, how many of those licenses are you going to hand out? And they really quickly were able to dominate the market. And that's why we have cotton today instead of a lot of hemp stuff. Same reason why Edison gets credit for so much shit like General Electric and all that stuff, when Tesla was really the genius who says, hey, alternating current works better than direct current. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know what? You know, Edison did have a lot of good inventions. I can't knock him on that. He was a good inventor. He wasn't quite like Tesla. There were two different molds, right?
I saw him more as a pragmatic thief, but that's just me.
Well, in some aspects, he could have been, yes. But Tesla, he was on a different level. He was way so far ahead of his time. All his concepts were just in such a direction that, well, obviously, he's responsible for this modern world, right?
But he was on the spiritual side of energy too, the metaphysical. What was his main influencer there? The Shah or something like that came over and was like at one point in New York there for a while.
Like look at like Tesla, you know, he was good friends with Mark Twain and all these famous guys.
Writings though, and that's where they started calling him a kook. And it's like it's the same with all of like the greatest inventors and stuff. As soon as they start writing about anything spiritual, they're just called cultists.
Zealot. Yeah.
Right. And
but it's also look at people can
look at that. And Walter Russell was another one that did a lot with Tesla in that time.
James Wright was another one.
Yeah. Well, also it has to do with I think that's where intention actually matters. Like 100%. Like my intention for my son, I have a 13-year-old son. My intention is to make a good son. I'm not out to make the next UFC tough as nails warrior, you know? And I think I truly think that's the difference of the purity level of their science between Edison and Tesla. And this is just my opinion. This is just my thought. Edison was more motivated by money, power, and being famously remembered.
Yep.
Tesla did not seem to care so much about fame, power, and money and being remembered as it was of, hey, you know, if we figure out some of these things like 3, 6, and 9, we could figure out the vibration frequency secrets of the world, and we could all live a way better life, and that'd be better for mankind. He powered up an entire city, an entire town, so they could let him do his experiments there for free. The guy didn't give a shit about power and money when it comes to that stuff. And I think when your intentions are involved, I think that affects the frequency at which your brain works. If my brain works where every day I wake up and I'll be like, money, 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 I got to get out there, get that money, get the money, get the money. Guess what? Someone's going to get hurt or killed because I'm not going to focus on the job or the job site I have at hand or the men I have working under me. Whereas my focus should be, I want to make sure everybody gets home safe. I want to make sure the job gets done right and we can make a profit, you know?
Yeah, everybody just gets caught up in the, hamster in a wheel scenario where everybody's just worried about money and making a living and feeding their kids and all this kind of stuff. Like the way I look at it, Tesla's story is a sad story because he sacrificed himself and his entire life to trying to make this world a better place. His intentions were pure.
Sorry.
The intentions are pure, and the problem is all the wolves came after him and destroyed him in the end. And they tried to, and they also tried to erase him from the history books.
Right off the wolves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also one of those things where it's like, look at all of us. Like, we as gentlemen of, inquiring about knowledge, and we're curious about life and how it all works. We have this fun little thing that a lot of other kids from today's era don't have. I know it's real hard to pronounce. We call it a library. And it was when they used to put information into these books that you manually turn the pages, and you had a risk of getting a paper cut. But you also had a risk of finding something that was written 100 years ago that you wouldn't find on the internet. Do you know how much stuff happened between 1950 and 2000 that's not on the internet?
Oh, God.
I mean, that's not even including books and stuff. Yeah, like exactly. Like look at this. This is my library at the moment. It's actually gotten condensed down to just one shelf.
Very nice.
Yeah, so if I can get everything condensed down to just one shelf, then everything's okay. Yeah. And the telescope, my son and I break that telescope out just about every full moon. Tonight's the first full moon. Last night, tonight's the first full moon. I haven't used my telescope because it's just freezing cold.
Yeah. I need to take it's actually pretty nice out now that you mentioned it.
Now it is. Nice. Last night it was a little bitter.
Oh, where I am in Chinook, it's beautiful out.
Yeah, it must be nice. I'm minus 22 right now, so.
Oof. Yeah. I did hear a good one yesterday. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so there are these two guys working together, and one of them says, hey, man, you've got to see my wife. My wife is gorgeous. And he whips out his phone and shows it to him. And his buddy goes, oh, wow, cool. You should see my wife. And the first guy goes, why? Is she hot too? And he's like, no, she's an optometrist. Anyways, listen, I appreciate y'all having me on. I just wanted to pose a couple questions about frequency and stuff. I'll let you guys take that ball and run with it. But the phone's about to die. I'm still a mod in the chat, so I'll be able to hook up to the charger in a minute, but I don't want it to cut out in the middle of the call. So I will say adieu and good night. Much respect. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yep. Come on again.
Exactly. Do come on again, Babe Bear. And I'm going to have to look at becoming part of that bear community because, well, I am a bear by nature. Bernard means bold as bear. I do have a bear tattooed on my back, so I might as well bear it all and join the bear app for $15 a year. I'll let y'all know how it goes.
There you go. So, we can run the ball with the frequency thing. Well, Tesla was very hard on the frequency. If you get the resonant frequency of anything, you can manipulate that. Like bring down a wall or shake a building or power, a transformer. Everything, like we were talking a while ago on transformers, how we really truly don't know how a transformer actually works.
Yeah.
And Eric Dollard, probably one of the best electrical engineers from the old generation, would agree that we really truly do not know how a transformer actually works. lot of people say, oh, the magnetic field induces a magnetic field in the core, and then it transfers the power over to the secondary winding, when in actual fact, whenever you make an electromagnet, that is a field, and that field is trapped within that field space.
What if it's
So
ones
for
you're binary switching between electric and magnetic through them, right? But it's a toroid, and it's a strike through your counter space connection
right,
of the
and that's where you said you got two tuning forks. You bring one, and you put that frequency next to another tuning fork that is in resonant frequency with the first one, and that one will start to ring as well. And I really believe that's how a transformer works. Get two identical coils side by side, you ring one at a certain frequency, the second one's going to pick it up. And if it's a step up, then it's going to magnify the power higher in a step up transformer, or a step down transformer, same deal. It all depends on the windings that are used. But the frequency thing, communicating between two tuning forks, I think really applies in a transformer. And a lot of people, can debate it. It's always been kind of a big debate in the electrical industry on how a transformer actually works. So, yeah, the debate's still out there. It'll probably be out there forever, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, you just like Tesla, when he created the Tesla coil is a transformer. It's a step-up transformer, and it has no core. It's an air core step-up transformer. And these transformers that he was developing also exhibited the ability to transfer power wirelessly. And that's why he was the first guy to develop wireless transmission of power, which manifested into radio, which Marconi eventually decided to steal from him. So I would say, theoretically speaking, Tesla is the inventor of the radio. Marconi took his patents and put it into a package to create the first radio. He kind of took what Tesla had and made it into a functioning unit. So, like after Tesla died, they finally in court settled that Tesla was the inventor of the radio and not Marconi. But it always seems like if there's a patent war going on between two inventors, and the one guy that wins the glory of inventing a certain thing, and realized that the other guy was actually truly the first person to actually do it, the guy doesn't get credited until he dies, right? So, and exactly the same thing happened with Tesla. Tesla did not get credited as the inventor of the radio until after he died. So,
well, it's like, do I try to take credit for inventing this pure layered single layer mono gold? No, because it's alchemy. It's from the ancients. I'm just reproducing others' works, and like Sir Isaac Newton's and all the other alchemists. It's like you're just rediscovering the same things over and over, and that we each have our own experiences with it, and I guess develop it within our times, right? But it's like you can see right there, that's that single layer gold plated jar, or the single fluff plasma gold in the one right.
See, that's what happens, with the patent office and all this kind of stuff. It creates wars. People trying to take legal possession of their own proprietary, knowledge and protecting it. And that's where it gets all messed up. And then it suppresses the technology, and then it's fighting in courts, and nothing gets done with the technology, and it gets suppressed for a while because they're too busy fighting in court. And that's exactly what happened with Tesla on many occasions, where he got screwed over patents because people swindled him.
Well, it's like in today's day and age, you do not want to go to the patent office, because then if you become classified as national security and your research shut down, right? It's
there's over, as far as I understood, in the U.S. patent office, there's like 4,000 patents that have been seized. 4,000. Can you imagine how many great inventions are just sitting in a drawer somewhere in the U.S. Patent Office, and that's just one country.
Exactly.
Okay, can you imagine worldwide how
people,
much stuff?
Right. So to the very far left there is pure quartz crystal out of the ground that there's chances of some gold veins in it that I'm going to be cracking open and looking for. And then if it does have such, that will be able to be attached to the oh wow, brain fart right there. Anode side of the reaction and see if the gold ore will actually grow the crystal.
Could you just hold 1 sec? I got to get my charger.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
Oh yes, Silver Sage. We do use, what up, I Heart Fairies? We use real gold to make gold. The gold plated is from a gold anode and cathode, and the monoatomic gold is also from a gold anode and cathode. I create the monoatomics of most metals into the pure white plasma state. We are doing all sorts of advanced electrolysis alchemy experiments. And the next one is using pure gold ore to see if we can grow gold crystal. And off the list of a video Mike found of how gold and the living gold ore crystal can grow on an electrolysis reaction. Do you want to refresh us on that video you saw there, Mike?
Oh yeah, there was I forget the guy's name. He was an older gentleman. He was taking basically smashed up beer bottles of all things.
Right. Yes.
And he was smashing them up into tiny little pieces and putting it into a mold, putting it into a microwave oven. And it'd probably take about 15, 16 times to heat it up and get it into a molten state, pour it out, and then he can start separating it. It's a pretty kind of complicated process, but you can extract apparently quite a bit of gold out of beer bottles. So glass apparently holds a lot of this monoatomic gold and other elements too. So yeah, alchemy is an interesting thing. It just I never got into it. It's more your forte.
Right, and it's interesting is Bernard being named Bernard, and then I start like reading into alchemy once I like started reading Isaac Newton stuff and reproducing it through Keshe's experiments. And it's like every third great alchemist is named Bernard, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm reading my own writing several lifetimes ago. Awesome.
A little bit of
Bernard the
synchronicity there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So yeah, it's a matter of people that are listening to us tonight if they want to actually get into this stuff. And I'll tell you right now, if you're going to get into this stuff, start doing a lot of reading.
Experiments.
Experiment like starting with the Joule Thief circuit I talked about before. It's probably one of the easier circuits to build. And they'll start teaching about oscillation using a transistor and creating the back EMF in the coil and getting that power back and amplifying the power into a bigger potential so you can run stuff. So some people call it Joule Thief, some people call it Joule Ringers. There's a whole bunch of names for it. But there's a ton of plans on there, and they're very, very easy to construct. And so if you want to dabble with that kind of thing, that's a good place to start. And then you have to learn about electricity and what electricity really is and how it works and how it flows in a wire. Does it flow inside the wire? Does it flow outside the wire? So all these questions will be answered by Eric Dollard. So start watching a lot of Eric Dollard stuff. And he has a couple good videos that explains basically how electricity comes about. How do you make it? How does it flow through a wire? And Jared Moore. That's later down the road. You have to learn the fundamentals of electricity. So it's more, you got to do your homework first and then pick what area you want to get into. Do you want to do pulse motors? Do you want to do Gerald Morin stuff, or whatever? So you have to start somewhere. So to start somewhere, I suggest starting to learn about electricity, what it is, how does it work, how do you manifest electricity, how does electromagnetism and dielectricity combine together to create electricity? Is electricity actually an entity, or is it a conjugate of a reaction of dielectricity and magnetism? So you have to learn all this stuff. It's very, very confusing at first, but I've been at it for a while. Like, I've been into the free energy stuff since 2005. So I've been around it for a while, and I've tried many, many experiments, Bandini motors, pulse motor generators, Don Smith generators, yet to try the Gerald Morin device, which I think was going to be a winner. So yeah, you got to start somewhere.
And another good one I just posted the link for in the live chat is the Global Breakthrough Energy Movement site. And there's literally 100 different electric engineers, and one of you and my favorite, Moray B. King's amazing work, and he gets into explaining the nanotechnology that is the electrolysis cold fusion and the plasmoids that are the HHHH and HHO gases and Brown's gases and all of that. And
just call it H4.
Yeah, H4 gas. And it's definitely worth giving a check out on that, because, well, from Moray B. King to Dan Winter to the descendants of I got Peter Lemon, Paul Laviolette, but the descendant of
Victor Schauberger,
grandson right there, talks in it. Cold fusion now, all sorts of different sacred geometries. Pretty much everything you could want to get your minds into, it's there. Even Mark Roden and the Roden coil presenting.
Yeah, when you learn how a coil works, and the best way I could describe a coil, it's a pump. And it pumps electricity or pumps potential into the coil, which induces a current. So very much a coil is a pump, basically. And if you learn how to make energy is by pulsing power into it, and you get the back EMF effect, and that in turns anything that's in the air, like all the ions and any charged particles that are in the air, when you create this electromagnetic field around the coil and now starts getting drawn into the coil, it excites all those particles and charged particles and electrons and everything that's in the air. It starts exciting them, and then when you cut the power on the coil, the field of the coil now collapses. Okay, so you got this much, but when you energize the coil, you got this much, and now you got to collapse it into a space this big. Well, guess what's going to happen when you collapse it? Boom, it's going to come flying back out. That's your back EMF, electromotive force, and that's where you get your current, your voltage and current. And when you understand how a coil works, then you'll figure building joule thieves will make more sense. Building pulse motor generators will make sense. Building Bandini coil motors will make sense. So yeah, you have to start in little bits and pieces. So a good place to start listening to Eric Dollard on electricity and how electricity flows through a wire and how that happens. And you'll find out that electricity doesn't flow through the wire, it flows on the outside of the wire. And when you pass electricity through that wire, it also creates an electromagnetic field around the wire. So he gets into all that and all the mathematics and all the theory behind that. It shows some pretty good diagrams on how the power lines were all set up and how transformers were working, and then they had problems with transformers blowing up because it started resonating and started a harmonic frequency inside the transformers. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get explosions. And he gets into how Carl Steinmetz, the head engineer for GE, he was the mathematician genius that came in and started figuring out all these problems mathematically and was able to alter them. He also had over 200 patents to his name. So not only he was had 200 patents, he was also a mathematician, and he also had over a huge knowledge in electrical technology. I think if you want to go academia way, Carl Steinmetz was smarter than Tesla, but Tesla was the guy with the ideas, and Steinmetz was the guy who perfected what Tesla did, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is. It's relearning
lot
the
of
entire
work.
history of electrical engineering, essentially.
Yeah, and I'm not an electrical engineer, but I've been studying this stuff for quite a while now. So I do have some knowledge, not from an actual college or university, or I don't have a doctorate and all that kind of stuff. I'm actually more a mechanical engineering guy and machinist by trade. So, I'm kind of out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I can make some pretty cool stuff now because I've
Exactly.
really applied myself to learn some of this stuff. So yeah, it's fascinating. As soon as you get into it, it's like a drug. You're hooked.
Right?
And
Like you experiment, it's just like you can't wait to the next one and the next one, right?
Well, it's when you build something and you put it together and you turn it on for the first time and it works, the gratification you get from that is priceless.
Very true.
When you something that you put your knowledge to and put together, and then you fire it up and spin it for the first time and it works, it's like you can't put a price on it. It's amazing.
It's so true. It's so true. I'm gonna be disclosing some pretty cool experiments fairly soon of just with my own blood in the plasma reactions and what it does, and it's crazy.
Is blood magnetic?
Yeah, I believe so, with the iron in it and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I got a magnetic ring that I'm wearing.
Blood technically is plasma, so
yeah, I got a magnetic ring on.
Nice.
Now, you're also going to find, too, when you get into the energy devices, you're going to go in many different directions. Like I went here, I went there. Now with the structured water, and I'm finding out all the energy properties of water and plasma technology. You're going to get set into so many different directions. You're going to go, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Because it's going to take you down so many different ways. And you kind of have to stay focused on one area, but sometimes you have to step aside and say, okay, I'm going to hold off on that stuff. I'm going to investigate this, and see what's going on with that, because all this stuff all comes together eventually as one. So that's why I got into the structured water, because I'm finding out energy also has a lot of healing properties to it, right?
Why do you say this, Danny? This fascinates me. This right here fascinates me. It's completely relevant to my work. Okay, interesting. I'm learning the chemistry aspect of it. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun to learn something that you normally, didn't get into, like a career-wise or whatever. My brother was the electronics guy, not myself. I remember as a kid him, ripping all my toys apart, trying to see how they all worked, right? And then never put it back together, and it never worked the same way properly ever again.
But now we have all of those leftover pieces.
So, yeah, well, technology's kind of changed since back in the 80s. So, we got pretty more high-tech stuff now. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to get into. Like I said before, when you get into it, like I did, you get hooked on it, and yeah, you just run with it. You know, see where it takes you. And I've met a lot of interesting people down on the journey, and learned a lot of cool stuff. And yeah, it's just enlightening yourself in so many different ways. How the world is, and all the lies, and all the things that happened in the past that are affecting us now. You know, we could have been so much far ahead in our technology, but it's because of the elite rich that have suppressed 98% of the great knowledge that could have been for themselves. And then they create this bubble of reality, which we live in right now. And it's starting to crumble right before their eyes.
Thank God. We are moving into a new era.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be big things coming out in the next while, because I think the cat's out of the bag now. I think the internet was a huge part of that, and getting the cat out of the bag. I think, you know, the elite, when they created the internet back in the 70s, it was built for a military purpose, and then it got out into the mainstream. And I think that was like the genie out of the bottle, the Pandora's box. And now all this great technology, all this great knowledge, all the groups of people that now can share ideas and share, you know, what they're working on, and sharing the knowledge and everything. I think it's just made a huge evolution in technology and experimentation. And I think the internet was a huge part of that. And that's why we're making some pretty cool stuff now. Where, you know, if somebody's working on a device and's having a problem, now he can look on the internet and see guys that are doing similar things, and they have the answers to what they haven't been able to do. And now they've got that knowledge now, and they can apply it to their projects to make them actually work. That's what it's all about.
Right.
That's where the manifestation of everything is.
If I add this guy in to my reactions, it should be producing more HHO gas for me, right? Or the
Yes.
HHH.
Yeah. Since you cavitate the water, you can inject air to it. You can just it's just a matter of disturbing the water.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the more cavitation you have in that reaction, the better.
And thank you for that little pump there, Aaron.
Yep.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I think I have the same one.
I believe so. I think he ordered us each one of the same.
Just trying to read some of these comments here.
Absolutely. Oh, this is a really great video. I'm going to play a little bit of this in the meantime of global breakthrough energy movement. The sacred geometry one.
Now, this next speaker has made a great influence in my personal life. He's a good friend of mine, a brilliant artist, and very magnetically inclined experimenter. I'd like to present to you Mr. Josh Toms.
Jace in Verbelli that introduced him. I got to meet him on APEC a few months back. He's awesome.
Okay, hello. My name is Josh Toms. I live near Colorado Springs, not too far to drive for me to be here today. Very thankful for the great global breakthrough energy movement for having me. My focus today is going to be a creative energy renaissance. What essentially is behind this, in my view, is the work of Edward Leeds Scotland, a man who built a castle in Homestead, Florida in 1923. He moved it in 1939, and he was born in 1887, died in 1951. His story is really long and it's deep. It's really hard to really condense what I'm about to get into in an hour. So it's this little clicker right here.
You can easily train yourself to listen faster. If you are able to listen fast, you can consume more information. So it allows you to learn from the best resources available instead of being stuck reading.
Yeah.
Okay, and I got there. What is creativity? Creativity is in engineering. Creativity is in art. Creativity is in architecture. There are so many answers to this question. What is creativity? Energy. What is energy? Energy has the same thing. It has so many different answers. It's life, it's minerals, and it's animals, vegetable array. Now a renaissance. Renaissance. Oh, there we go. Excuse me. It's essentially a cultural rebirth. It's a way to blossom. It's getting to the blooming of what has been kind of grounded. There's a good foundation, and then you start creating. It's a revival of intellectual, artistic achievements and vigor. All right. So geometry. Geometry is all over the place. These are cymatic patterns over here, just a bunch of different frequencies. And over here is a piece of artwork at the Vatican, just some geometry and a spiral pattern. I thought it was very interesting when studying Coral Castle and reading his work on magnetic current.
What's the two versions? I heard there's like two different versions of magnetic current.
The book I've been reading is the one that's from their official website and the museum. All right, so geometrical connections. I'm trying to treat everything, the gas, the matter, the life, even the term that we're using for is like free energy, 0-point field. There's so many different terms for it, but I see us as a reflection of this energetic creative source. So now, where I essentially stem from Coral Castle work is the Great Pyramid of Giza geometry, mandalas, the Pythagorean theorem. It's a very basic equation that can be expressed in so many different ways, and it's one of the first things we get taught in geometry. So here's a Tibetan mandala. Here's some a template that I drew up. These are just some of the things that I'm going to show my artwork here in a little while. Everything's really coming from Ed and the geometry of the Great Pyramid. Here I have a cubed sphere where I take a compass and I essentially just lay different dimensions, and I actually cubed a sphere with no straight lines. So here's Ed's symbol. It's called magnetic current. The discovery of John Depew has really emphasized how important this is in my life and in nature and experimentation. The magic squares, John Searle gets into that, and it's this calculator, it's this matrix holographic geometric prism. They're metaphors, what I'm using to try and describe what is going on here and all this. So it's essentially three things. There's three things to magnetism, Ed is saying, what John Depew is saying. There's three things: positive, negative, and the neutral particles of matter.
This is absolutely crazy.
Okay, so the divine template is
I
what
love
John Depew calls it. John Depew has been an inspiration to me. He has shared with me some incredible experiments, some incredible symbolic representations. So this infinity symbol, it's two arcs, just like Ed's little cup, a chalice. This is a Leonardo da Vinci. He's got two different spirals doing two different geometries. I'm putting a lot of this up here, so maybe you guys will look at it later and get a connection. It's hard to go into the complexities of some of these geometries. It's simplicity trying to, simplicity and complexity. It is like that Jamie was talking about earlier. All right. So, it seems like it's cut off. Okay, well, natural flow. So essentially, where are we going? We're kind of still wondering where we're going. Our planets are all flying through space. Well, Ed made a little sundial pointed at the North Star. He had a crosshairs and a little pyramid right here. And this is by John Depew. They made this little nice sundial, and this thing, when you face it east, you end up getting this kind of grid that ends up showing up. I'll get another picture in a sec. All right, here we go. You got a globe showing the progression of the sun and how it moves across the sky. And it's those same arcs that Ed put on his symbol. And what's going on here? All right. Here's an experiment John Depew shares on his website. Check this out. So each one of those is a little vortex gear. He calls it the equilibrius grid. These, you can just keep going with this. He's tapping into natural energy flow. He is really making some amazing discoveries in his original work. It is completely original.
Live streaming can be tricky, and sometimes trying to find the right software to make your streams look really professional can be a real chore. The thing I like about StreamYard is that the user interface is really simple to understand and can give you a professional look without a whole lot of trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing next.
Soaring prices, mass shortages. What's next? Hi, I'm Chris Hurt here, and if you're like
Sorry, damn YouTube.
It's not the best quality video. You can go to magneticspectrum.com, and he's got a 15-minute video, high quality. And here we go. All right, so the flower of life. Let's see. Where am I? All right, the flower of life. They're essentially the segmented blueprints of magnetic energy. A sphere is created with two arcs to close it. And essentially what he is doing is these arcs, connecting them into these grids. The grids are unlimited in how they can be essentially mapped out. It's kind of how you want to project this geometry upon other geometries. It's a fractal geometrical projective imaginative structure. It's very hard to put this into words. So I really hope you guys here. So Coral Castle, he ended up building this structure here with the 345 and the magnetic current symbol from Coral Castle. So here we go. We got we got pineapples. We got so many different plants. Geez, it's hard to wrap
His mind's just blown trying to describe it.
All right, so we've got it in DNA too. These arcs, when you put them together in such a fashion, ends up creating this same geometric structure that is, it's all over. The two centrifugal spins with a centripetal right-hand twist. All right, here's another video called Magnetic Warp. This is by Michael Schneider. Never met the guy, but this is an incredible video. He's got two pieces of glass and a ferrofluid compressed in between, and he's got some LEDs around the outside. And so this is just a magnet here. It's kind of lagging here, guys.
I'm gonna have to get going soon, Bernie. Just to let you know.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I was
you guys, can you get that stuff?
kind of thinking the same
Okay,
thing.
pause it just when it does the little.
Well, I will post the link for
Points of
this.
contact. The top, the bottom, and look, Ed symbol right there.
Again. Oh, there
Yeah,
we are.
there's so much stuff to watch. Like there's
There really
hours
is.
upon hours upon hours upon hours of stuff. Like I listen to now, I would say an average about 3 lectures every day.
Right, exactly.
Every day.
It's a good amount to absorb.
Oh, it's a ridiculous amount of stuff to absorb. But you're going to find a lot of stuff that's similarities between different, people.
I've been hearing about that for a while.
There's so many different facets of electricity and energy and frequency and harmonics and
There really, really are. And I guess I should get back to seeing what is going on in the crypto universe. My goodness God.
yeah, it's crashing right before your eyes.
No.
The apocalypse of the money world.
That's just a reset.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we're living in some pretty fascinating times.
We truly are.
A lot of interesting stuff happening. Like you said, we're in a new age. Things are changing. There's going to be radical change. I would say in the next, I would go as far as say 10 years. There are going to be such radical changes in everything. What's that sound?
I'm not sure.
Sounds like a motor or something shaking on a bottle. It's weird.
Could be my computer. I don't know.
No, it's weird.
I just posted the link to the PMG crypto TA that I'm going to go catch the end of right now, I think. And until the next one, guys.
Yeah, I guess Campbell didn't make it.
Didn't make it to today's one.
Yeah, we'll do another show this week for sure. I'm going to look into some other things and maybe look into getting a washing machine pump motor from the internet maybe and start working on the Gerald Bourne device. The Don Smith stuff, yeah, it works, but like I said, it's going to require a lot of money to get it where I need it, and I just don't have that money.
Now you have it, you've learned it, you keep it on the shelf until it comes back, and you'll have an aha moment where it's like it'll pop right back in, right?
Because that's going to be one piece of the puzzle I might need down the road.
Exactly.
But I'll still be working on that stuff, and I got other projects on the table that I want to do as well. So eventually I'll get to that device that I'm going to go back also and do the pulse motor generator as well. I'm going to make a new one. So I'll be doing a new one of those motors and maybe even sell them too. So you guys could actually purchase a pulse motor that I built. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff I have planned for the new year. So yeah, just stay tuned to my channel and you can find out about it.
Most definitely, brother.
All right, man.
And, yeah, we will see you again in the next one. Much love.
All right, brother. Have a good day.